Hello, Tracy, coming at you with another Pocket Process video. Today I'm going to be doing the third page in my Cuba travel album. This is a page, a project lifestyle album of my of my recent trip to Cuba. And for this one, I am doing, I guess it's like an around the resort page. So it's basically just a hodgepodge of photos that showcase some of our favorite places around the resort and some of our memories of being there. So, a lot of these photos, as you can tell, are printed at this point at the 4x6 size, although many of them have these white bands on them, and I don't like that. It's because I took my photos at the wrong aspect ratio. That's also why a lot of my vertical photos are super tall and skinny like this. Instead of filling a 3x4 pocket, they're too tall and skinny to do so. So I am going to have to reprint some of these photos, unfortunately. I really wish that I had taken the time to get my photo printing right, which is something that I usually do. So I'm not sure what was different this time. Maybe I was just in a rush to get started with scrapbooking, but I am going to have to, unfortunately, redo some of these photos. So as you can see, I'm just placing them out there right now to make sure that I have space for everything. This is going to be a very photo heavy layout or a photo heavy spread. And I'm just looking to see if there might be a few other memories in here. This is my category of animals around the resort, and I wanted to include the cats in this page because they were a pretty big part of our time there. We visited with them almost every day. And I also have that acrylic circle. I don't usually embellish at this phase, but I do have that acrylic earth piece there that picks up on the earth that's in the lobby. So I wanted to make sure that it wound up on this page. And so I'm just putting it on that photo of the pool for now. We'll decide later if it stays there or not. So this is my starting off point, just with my cardstock templates there. I have a room for everything, including some journaling and some filler pages. And then a lot of my embellishing is going to have to take place right on the photos because, as you can see, I don't have much room for much else. So I'm going to start by looking through the cards that I have. I have a select subset of cards that I have put aside just for this project. And here they are here. They're a combination of pattern papers that I've cut apart for previous pages that I've already worked on. So I have some leftovers. Some of them are travel specific cards that I have held on to and put in with my travel related supplies. And yeah, some of them are even from the recent Ellie Edwards Stories by the Month kit. That would be the April kit. I have the back side of a card that I ended up not using on the other page. And a couple of supplies here. I decided that that card was too big, like not too big, but it was too vivid of a page. And I thought I would use another one of these watercolor stickers from the Hip Kit Club and just put it this time on a plain white cardstock. Oh, it actually is. It's on the back side of a grid card, and then you can just barely see the faint grid behind it. So it looks like a plain piece of paper, but it does have a very faint grid on it. So now I'm heading to my computer to reprint photos. And just like that, my photos are, are done or almost done. So I decided to reprint this one as a square, and it is printed at, I believe it's printed at 3.5 by 3.5. And now I'm just going into my sorted 4x6 cards. These are my yellow category. So as you can see, I only had a handful of those, but two of them, there was one that was actually cut down already, but I just stored it in there anyways. So those two will work well together as a background for that food photo. These three were all taken one right after another, and the aspect ratio required me to print them at this size, and it just so happens that they fit perfectly on a 4x6 grid card there. So easy peasy, that one's done. I will come back and add a title, but for now that one is done. So now I'm just going to replace, I also lightened that photo so that you could see more of the details in the chairs that are sitting in front of the main lobby. And so I replaced all of the photos that had white bands on the tops and bottoms. They're now filled. They now were printed to fill a 4x6 sheet. And we're ready to get started. I guess I just needed a drink of coffee first, and now let's get to work. I want to do some journaling here on the grass. It's kind of like there's a lot of burnt grass there because it's very dry and very hot. So I wanted to do some journaling there. I'll do some journaling here as well. I'll maybe put some labels over here. So I'm just kind of planning where are some spaces that I can use for journaling where it's not going to cover up important parts of the photos and will instead accentuate and tell the story. So we're going to start with this top left-hand corner, the photo of my daughters that I took from the balcony of our room. And we walked these paths so many times that I really wanted to capture this photo of my girls walking along that path. It's a kind of an unusual angle to get a photo of your own family. So I used my hot off the press journaling template there to draw some lines. I don't want to go too far down because you're not going to be able to see where the lines might overlap with the greenery there in the bottom corner of the photo. And my journaling says, the evening that we went to the gourmet, Liv and Sophie got their own supper at the snack bar and ate in the room. Then later, they went back out for dessert. So Sophie had mono, so we were pretty low key. And they decided to have an evening in. They didn't stay in the whole evening because they did go out later for dessert, but it was nice. We were over in the adult section of the resort, so they had to stay over here because they're not 18 yet. I had to check the spelling of the word dessert because I didn't want to accidentally put desert. I always get those two mixed up. So I will often start with the most no-brainer parts of a layout. So here I had already decided to layer these two yellow pieces of paper together. I have a plain yellow cardstock background with that patterned paper that was an ad from Studio Calico. And I have these word stickers that I'm trying to use up. So I'm going to use the best here because this was my favorite breakfast. And that sticker sheet was from a Hip Kit Club kit from probably 2020 or 2021. I'm going to use this sticker here for some journaling. And I'm just pulling from so many different places. I thought for a minute, I guess my hesitance around using that is that I didn't want it to be too much pink, but I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to play around with a couple of different ideas here, and any of these would have been fine, but I am going to go with this one. I'm just cutting off the speech bubble part of it, so it just looks like a little rounded rectangle, and I'm going to layer it with a few different things here. So at this point, I'm looking for something. I want to bring some more color into this part, like below, in that space below the pink journaling piece and beside the word the best. I want to put something of different colors, maybe some green, maybe some blue. So I'm just looking at the die cuts I have. I pulled over some washi. Just basically not pink is what I'm looking for, something non-pink. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something that's not pink and that's going to fit in that section. Now, this is photoplay. These are photoplay die cuts, or not die cuts, but they're chipboard pieces. And so my non-pink idea went out the window because these are pink, but they're food, and it seemed kind of perfect to put food there. And we did eat a lot of fruit at breakfast, so I thought I'd put those there. They're from Photoplay from the Summer Dreaming collection, Summer Daydreams collection. So my journaling here says, my favorite breakfast was banana French toast with stewed papaya, my own invention, so yummy. I had to go to 2 different parts of the buffet to get those things to put together on my plate. So I don't think the watermelon is quite going to work. I feel like it's too much pink and it also doesn't really fit. So I went with the strawberry and the kiwi, and later on I'm going to add something else. So then I have this filler card that says where everybody knows my name, and the people at the buffet and all throughout the resort, they, it's our 3rd time there. So lots of people know who we are. And when we enter, sometimes, like if we're at the restaurant and the waiter hasn't seen us for a year, they'll come over and say, "Oh, Tracy and Scott, how are you doing?" And so it's nice to be where everybody knows your name. There's a reason the song and the theme of the TV show said that. So I decided to put that fried egg there. It is breakfast, and I have this fried egg in my stash. It came with a little keychain for an Animal Crossing character, like a little collectible figure that I have. And I knew that it would make a really good scrapbooking embellishment, so I just threw it into my rubber embellishment little tray, and here it is being used. It's taking a while for that glue to dry, but it eventually dried. Now I'm using Stampin' Up liquid glue pen here, which is a very, very liquidy clear glue. And that's a casual heart, so I just kind of placed it where I placed it. It's not exactly centered, but that's okay. It's one of those kind of hand-drawn, doodly looking hearts. Just adds a bit of that really bright pinky red, which is in my dress, and it shows up in different places in these pages, so I want that kind of red to continue. Now here's a picture of my beer that I was holding, my can of beer that I was drinking out on the patio, probably the same day that I took the picture of the girls. And I just wanted to, I've already documented in my other page about the beach that we don't have Cristal beer this time. So we have various different imported beers. So I don't have to say that because I already said it. So I drew some journaling lines there with a marker. I'm using a slick surface marker. I'm using my Tombow mono twin pen. And it says, between day and night, we take a break in our room, shower, change clothes, rest on the balcony with a can of whatever housekeeping left in our fridge. Sometimes it's cola, sometimes it's beer. Whatever they left, I would drink one of it. Needed an extra line there. That mono twin pen is really great for journaling on slick surfaces. It's really, really dark black too. I really love how it works. Somebody sent me that. I love it. I would have never discovered that pen on my own. It's oil-based, so it's really great for art journaling too. So this is one of those data cards that has different places for you to put different data in. So it says favorite restaurant. I put Cuban restaurant. Favorite for lunch, I said main buffet. Favorite brunch, I said main buffet. All-round favorite, I would say French restaurant. And then I put name, Tracy, and date, April 2022. And I put my own name there because those are sort of my choices. I'm pretty sure my family would have picked the same choices, but I don't know for sure. So this is another photo that I stole from my daughter's Instagram stories that I screenshotted. And I like how there's this space, this white space above their heads in this photo. So I'm going to put some journaling on there. I'm going to spell out wardrobe, even though there are no R's. I'm going to go ahead and spell it out anyways. And what I'm going to do here is cut out the outline of the R. It's going to have a real mishmash hand cut kind of a look, but that's okay. Takes quite a lot of time to cut out these outlines because they're so tiny. But I like how it looks, and it means that I get a little bit of extra use out of that font. Even though the common letters are starting to go missing, I can use the outlines of them. So I might not have chosen to use this font if I realized that I'd have to do this with two of the letters, but it's kind of better to do it with two because then it looks more intentional and less like a mistake. So it really is tricky. I would use like a pair of these precision scissors for this for sure. Don't want to be trying to do this with a massive pair of big scissors. But the rest of this word comes along just fine. So I'm spelling out wardrobe change. So wardrobe is going to fit there quite nicely. And then I'll put change using the same letter stickers. These are from Studio Calico. And this project is helping me get lots of use out of these letter stickers that I have in my Project Life storage area. If you haven't seen my Project Life storage video, make sure you check out my channel. I will leave a link and I'll put a card in the video right here so you can check out the top right hand corner. I find it really helpful to have all of my supplies nearby. Now, this is something that you can't always do, which is shift stickers once they're placed on a photo. So I was lucky here because usually they're just stuck. And when you pull them up, they either pull up some of the printing off the photo or they just leave horrible residue behind that makes it really difficult to reuse the photo. But in this case, I was able to do it. Just added two little pieces of washi there just to dress up the photo a little bit more and also to cover some of that blank dark space on the lower part of that photo. So for this one, I like the photo just as it is, and I'm just going to add this globe, and it's really just I'm adding it to pick up on the fact that there is a globe in the main lobby. And when I saw that globe, even before, like when I unboxed it, whatever that came with, I remember thinking it's just like the globe at the Pullman. So I'm glad that I'm able to use it here. I thought I had more music notes, and it's actually true. I did have more music notes. I just couldn't find them. And it was in the bottom of that little tray that I keep my little acrylic pieces in, and there's so much stuff in there that I didn't see the other one. But that's okay. So this is the band of one of our friends in Cuba. So I wanted to make sure that I included this photo for sure and did a bit of journaling as well. But the music notes, as you saw, were not really standing out anywhere on the photo. They were just looking like clutter. So what I decided to do instead is use a filler card above this photo and put the music on it. So that ties in with the photo below it. And so I did have to take a break now. So the next footage that you see is going to be a little bit different because it is from the next time I scrapped was when I did a live stream with my Patreon members. So the footage here is going to be different, and the scrapping pace is going to be a little bit slower because I was taking my time and chatting with the Patreon members who showed up, including Paper Belle, who was telling me that she could relate to cats chewing the plastic because some of my page protectors were ruined by my cat who chewed up the edges of the page protectors. So I'm here and I have a few ideas because I have been able to percolate on this page. That's one of the benefits of stopping in the middle of a project is you do get a chance to kind of think about what your options are. And so I'm going to start with this photo here, this card here that has these three photos. Now what I want to do is I want to spell out the word Wi-Fi, and I want to put it up kind of like above the girls' heads and beside Scott's head. And I think that any of those blue letter stickers that I already had picked out for other purposes on the previous pages, they were just going to not have enough contrast. So I went to my Raskog. I often bring you guys to my Raskog, but I decided to just quickly go. I knew what I was looking for. I went to get some red stickers, and these were the two favorites that stood out to me. I really love this font. These are a chipboard letter sticker, but these foam ones are really, really beautiful. I adore them. And I think that they're going to pick up on some of the other hits of that raspberry red color. They certainly really pick up on the red in the drinks that are on the table there. And so I think that these are going to work really, really well. So I'm going to use my thicker alignment tool, which is really just a skinny ruler. Any skinny ruler will work. You don't have to buy fancy, expensive tools for everyday things that you probably have around your room already. But I'm spelling out the word Wi-Fi here. I just have to add the little dots to the tops of the eyes. And then I thought it just looked like it needed a little something else. So I added asterisks before and after. And I like how that looks. It's the first asterisk is a little bit crowded into Scott's head, but it's not too bad. So I want to start off with this photo here. Well, not start off, but I want to come back to this photo here where I left off the last time that I was scrapbooking earlier in this video. And what I think I want to do, where all of that distracting stuff is over on the right-hand side of this photo, I think I want to layer some label stickers there. So I'm just going to go into my stash and see what I can do. I want a combination of label stickers that would be like patterns and also some that would have space to allow for some journaling, because I want to talk about Kainer's band. And I don't have to tell all of the story because I am going to put some journaling in between these pages, like a little journaling insert. So I have already pre-written that journaling, so I know what that journaling will say. So I know what I need to say here. I'm doing it a little bit backwards. I wish I had already printed out that journaling, but I just couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I'm leaving it for now, and I'll print it later. So I keep referring to that journaling so that I make sure that if there are any gaps in that journaling, I'm telling it in these cards. So I took one of those cut aparts that was from Ellie's Studio, and then I have these are from Studio Calico. They're just a whole bunch of, they're basically like fake washi tape, but they're not washi. They're like paper or cardstock stickers. And so I just layered them all like that so that they're all over to the side. And now they are distracting, but they're not more distracting than what was already there, which was a bunch of weird angled pieces of wood and sides of walls and stuff. And so this works better because at least these are pretty, and they also give me a place to put some journaling that's important for the telling of the story. So I already wrote the lobby on that Ellie's Studio label, and now I'm just going into my stash to grab a roller date stamp, and I'm going to put April 13th, 2022. I almost always double stamp my roller date stamps. It gives it a nice office-y look. And then I'm using my Tombow mono twin pen, which is that pen that I talked about before that I like so much for slick surfaces. These cardstock stickers have a bit of a sheen to them, so I wasn't sure if it might smear if I used my regular pen. So I'm just writing up here Kainer's band, and then in brackets I put missing is Kaler. And then I want to put something on this other journal on this other little sticker, and I like this one that says fave, so it's in handwriting. It's from Jen Scow. I haven't used it yet, I don't think, so I'm just seasoning it with my finger, and I will use Stays On because again these are just slightly slippery and I'd rather use Stays On and have it definitely stick. Usually when I'm doing Project Life, I don't bother with experimenting with things, like maybe another ink would have worked, but I know that Stays On would work, so I'm just going to do that. Now I do have more to tell that's even outside of the already journaling that's on my computer. So I'm going to put this little music note card into a flip the flap, and I'm going to put my journaling in that. So I'm looking for some cards that might go on the back side of that. I really like that cute little travel girl. She's not really appropriate, but like, you know, she's appropriate to travel, but she's not really part of the theme. She's holding an umbrella. She's outdoors. She's got luggage with her. It's not really the card that I need right there. So I cut down a 3x4 grid card just to cut off the rounded corners. Those are Becky Higgins grid cards. I have a bunch of them in my stash. So I just cut it down so it wasn't rounded anymore. And I went to my stash. This is my blue category of 3x4 cards. And no, this is my green, not blue. And so I'm just looking for something to mat around that grid card that I cut apart, because that grid card is going to give me good space for journaling. So I was given a bit of a hard time about the fact that I used rounded corners on a single card in one of my spreads. So I had to point it out because they were talking about it on Patreon. And I had to show that, yes, I'm guilty of doing that. So for some people, that is a big, big no-no. But for me, it's not, it's a little no-no for me. So I have this card that says wander often, and I just drew some journaling lines on it. And my journaling says, we brought meds and a blood pressure cuff to Kayler and Kainer's mom, who has been sick. We didn't get to see Keeler because, and then I continue the rest on the other card. So here we go. And this is a grid card. It says he was home recovering from an appendectomy, and then I just drew a little sad face. However, Kainer FaceTimed with his mother and brother so we could say hi to them both. It was definitely odd to not see Keeler at all the events. We really missed him. And normally we would have gone visiting somebody or gone to see some, like either somebody's house or just out and about the town. But because Sophie was sick, we weren't going anywhere far. It's like an hour drive on a bus. It's not, or on a, we usually take a car, but yeah, we didn't want to do that with Sophie being sick this time. So that card is just feeling a little bit empty below the journaling. So I just grabbed another one of those same label stickers that I had already used on the photo of the band. And there we go. So I do want to put a little lift the flap indicator on this. I don't always do this, but I decided I wanted to do it here. So this is a Lawn Fawn stamp set that also comes with a coordinating little miniature die set. And I'm going to stamp and die cut a piece of gray paper here that says lift the flap. And I think that this stamp set is called Push Here. And it's meant to go with interactive cards that you make. So like lift the flap or open or pull, push pull type of cards that you can make. But I really like using it for my project life. So I'm just stamping out, it says lift the flap. I also stamped out the little shape that's an arrow with a rounded end on the other end of the arrow. I'm going to run this through my miniature die cut machine. This is a Cuddle Kid machine from many, many, many years ago. And I'll just stick all that stuff back. I kind of like the idea of it hanging off the edge. It makes it more obvious that it's an interactive element. Oh, I just happened to run out of Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher staples, so I had to refill my stapler, but there we go. And stapling things is a really good way, especially on the outside of a page protector where it's difficult to make things really stick. It's a good way to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. You just want to make sure that you're done with the card before you staple stuff in place, because obviously I can't pull those cards out now. So I'm really liking how this is turning out. I have a few more things to do here. I would like to put a coffee related stamp in the center of this coffee. So I have two options here. I have Daily Cup, and then I have this one that says C. And I forget what it says around it, but C is the main thing. I couldn't decide, so I asked my magic 8-ball, and my magic 8-ball told me yes to the Daily Cup. If it had said no, I would have done the C. And the Patreon members who were participating both said that all of them said that the people who spoke up said that they preferred the Daily Cup as well. So it worked out okay. I like sometimes leaving my scrapping up to chance. And when I was tidying up a room in the basement, I saw the magic 8-ball, and I was pretty sure it hadn't been used in a long time. So I thought, I'm taking that and I'm going to use it on a live stream. And I think I'm going to use it on every live stream because it was fun. I asked it a couple of questions in this session. So I did stamp that photo using VersaFine ink, and it came out really beautifully. So I just had to go to my sink and wet the little stamp chamois that I have. I just stopped the camera for that. And now I think that this photo is fine just the way it is. I like how plain it is, and I like the Daily Cup in the center there. It was getting hot in my scrap room, so I had to open the window. I just have a little bit left to do on this page. It's almost done, but I do have to take that photo of my two daughters, and I just want to add something to this. And I want to just label it as saying at the main buffet. So all I need to find here is some type of a label sticker. I just love this photo because it's very it's candid and it catches them at a moment. They were on their phones. We allowed them to use their phones at a certain point in the meal, just because they were not on their phone very much at all on this trip, and you could only get Wi-Fi at the lobby, and the buffet is right underneath of the lobby, so they eventually figured out that you could also get Wi-Fi at the buffet. So we just let them use their phones after we were finished eating. So I'm using a bolder font here so that it'll really stand out, because this card is pretty busy. I'm just writing out at the main buffet. And I placed that so that it kind of covered up to people who were in the background. Labels are good for deleting people from your photos, at least. Maybe not from your life, but from your photos. So I just need to tidy up a little bit. I do have, I think, one more thing that I need to do. I need to take that photo of us with Diley and figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm just looking through my label stickers that I keep in my Project Life section of my scrap room. I have a Razcog dedicated to storage, just for Project Life stuff. And so I'm just pulling through some of those labels. As you can tell, a lot of these label stickers the sticker sheets are almost empty. I have really used up these labels, and I'm almost ready to start getting rid of some of the leftovers that if I haven't used them by this point, I'll never use them, or ones that I think I might use, I'll just put them on a separate sheet and keep them in one place instead of having them spread across 10 or 20 different sheets here. So I just layered two labels there, one rectangle and one circle. That's one of my favorite ways to layer labels, is to just take a rectangle and a circle and layer them together like that. So it just says Daily helped us daily at the buffet. So her name is Daily. I don't think that that's how you pronounce it in Spanish. But anyhow, I thought that it was a bit of a play on words. So this is the end of this page. I did do another page on this live stream, but I didn't get a chance to take photos. So here is just a freeze frame of the layout and how it turned out. Thanks so much to my Patreon supporters. These are the folks that make this channel happen. So great big thanks to all of them. And thank you too for watching to the end of this video. I really appreciate you watching. Leave me a comment if you've got anything to say, and I will see you next time. Have a great scrappy week.